This is ABC15 Mornings.
Arizona's Director of Emergency Management abruptly resigns this weekend as disagreements continue over the state's reaction to the coronavirus crisis. We're breaking down Wendy Smith-Reeves' shocking resignation.
The Trump administration taking a new approach to the spread of COVID-19 by addressing states at the epicenter of the crisis. We're going to have the details on the president's latest travel advisory and exactly who it impacts.
And here in the Valley, rangers continue to enforce new park regulations to keep our communities safe. And hikers, they're being asked to obey the new rules. We'll tell you what you need to know before you hit the trail.
And of course, before you hit the trail, we're going to want to get into that most accurate forecast for you. But first, we say good morning and welcome to ABC 15 Mornings. I'm Nohelani Graff.
And I'm Mark Thompson. We're going to get you caught up on what it's going to look like to round out the weekend before we head into some hot weather coming up.
Yeah, and already
week.
Today we're starting to get a little warmer, but look outside because if you are trying to time your workout with the sunrise, you've got about 20 minutes this morning. We're seeing those first breaks of dawn as well. Live view from the McDowell Mountains. And you'll also see there are a few scattered clouds out there this morning, but they're already starting to clear out. Our temperatures are dipping as well because we're getting closer to that official sunrise time. So we have more cities in the 40s, 48 in Chandler, 49 in Glendale, 48 in Goodyear. Mesa and Phoenix still holding on in the low 50s. If you are getting that workout in by 10, we will be into the mid 60s. So it's going to be a pretty rapid warm up today. And then by 2 o'clock, we're in the mid 70s, 75 degrees, nice and sunny today. And we'll get even warmer than that. I'll talk about just how high our temperatures will go coming up in that most accurate forecast. But first, we want to bring some breaking news to you this morning. Police in Chandler are investigating a single car that rolled over near Val Vista Drive and Hunt Highway. Officials telling us there were multiple people inside that car, including kids and adults. We do have a crew on scene working to gather more information for us, and as soon as we do learn more, like the condition of any of those passengers, we'll update you right here on ABC 15.
And developing this morning, Arizona's Director of Emergency Management has resigned after serving the department for more than 20 years. Wendy Smith-Reeves broke the news yesterday, telling ABC 15 that she was sad to have to leave the position. It's important to note that she was not asked to resign, but her resignation letter does reveal that she had a disagreement with one of the state's leaders regarding their response to the coronavirus. The division's Deputy Director, Anthony Cox, is expected to take over as acting director.
Now let's get a look at the numbers of coronavirus confirmed in Arizona because they do continue to rise. The state's health department revealing a total of 773 cases. More than 450 of those are in Maricopa County, and so far 15 people have died. We do expect to get another update from the health department later this morning. It usually comes in right at 9 o'clock, and so we will be updating that online for you.
Still not in effect this morning is a stay-at-home order that Governor Doug Ducey is telling city mayors still needs to come from him. Regardless, mayors in cities like Flagstaff, Surprise, Gilbert, and Tucson, they have all put restrictions in place that they say will help stop the spread of the coronavirus.
As mayors, we are the closest to the people. We understand what the needs are in our community, and we understand we're able to react quickly.
The Navajo Nation is also issuing a lockdown asking people to stay at home and only leave for essential activities. Other mayors that we spoke with, Cave Creek, Globe, and Queen Creek, they say that as of right now, they're following the governor's guidelines and staying open. The governor has taken action on an $11.8 billion budget, which includes $50 million to help with the coronavirus response. Governor Doug Ducey tweeting that money will help tenants, homeowners, struggling small business owners, food banks, and the homeless. The bipartisan plan does not contain any new spending beyond required inflation adjustments, and it does promise a raise for teachers. The budget goes into effect July 1st.
Now, on a national level, late last night, President Trump directing the Centers for Disease Control to issue a travel advisory for New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Those, of course, are some of the states hardest hit by the coronavirus outbreak, especially New York and then the surrounding areas. ABC's Ty Hernandez is explaining just what this advisory means and the state of the coronavirus fight nationwide.
A potential new strategy by the Trump administration to slow the spread of the coronavirus. A quarantine of New York State, New Jersey, and Connecticut, states close to the epicenter of the crisis. President Trump saying this.
There's a possibility that sometime today we'll do a quarantine, short-term, 2 weeks on New York. Probably New Jersey, certain parts, and Connecticut.
The proposed order could affect the tri-state's more than 30 million residents. New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo caught off guard.
I don't even know what that means. I don't know how that could be legally enforceable. And from a medical point of view, I don't know what you would be accomplishing. But I can tell you, I don't even like the sound of it.
However, late Saturday, President Trump tweeted that a federal quarantine would not be necessary. And he's asked the CDC to issue a strong travel advisory for those states for the governors to implement. In Louisiana, another hot spot, more than 3,000 cases, at least 130 people dead. The president says several other states like South Carolina, Texas, Maryland, and Florida are ordering visitors traveling from New York and Louisiana to quarantine for 14 days. Rhode Island going a step further, deploying the National Guard to train stations, checking passengers' tickets, and getting their information to make sure they self-quarantine.
Folks from New York present a different kind of danger to the people of Rhode Island. I know this is unusual. I know it's extreme. And I know some people don't agree with it.
More than 90% of mayors from across the country saying they don't have enough masks or test kits. Illinois with more than 450 new cases and at least 13 deaths, including an infant.
If you haven't been paying attention, maybe this is your wake-up call.
A naval hospital ship, the USNS Comfort, now on its way to New York City. Another, the Mercy, sitting off the coast of Los Angeles, already admitting non-COVID-19 patients. Ty Hernandez, ABC News, New York.
Thanks, Ty. We know some of you are feeling a little cooped up with some of the restrictions around here and social distancing. So remember, a lot of Arizona restaurants are still open. We're open, Arizona, so maybe order breakfast or lunch and bring it back to your house. Have a nice picnic outside. This morning, you'll definitely need a light long sleeve because we are in the 50s. But by lunchtime, it's going to be really pleasant. Sunny skies, low 70s, and then we'll have a warmer day on tap. By dinner time, we're in the upper 70s, 77, that forecast high. Also, if you have some stuff you need to take care of around the house. I know everybody's yard has been looking a lot better these days because you've got more time to do it. Also, if you want to wash that car, we're going to give you the green light as well. We will stay dry here in the valley for the next several days. Now, we do have a chance for stray showers up north. I'll talk about the timing of that and have a look at your statewide forecast coming up in just a little bit.
All right, and while I agree that getting some fresh air is a good thing, some of our valley parks, they are getting so crowded right now that it's difficult to practice that social distancing.
Yeah, it doesn't count if you're 3 feet away as you try to pass somebody on one of those tiny trails. So our ABC15's Chloe Marr is finding everything from limited parking, even disinfectant wipes out there, all just at Camelback Mountain.
You can only walk the dogs and take bike rides so many times, right?
Charles Crawford is an avid hiker and taking every precaution possible to keep his habit healthy.
Don't touch my face, don't touch any of that, don't touch my shirt. Get to a stop, hand sanitizer again. I get all the way up to the top, then I put gloves on and come down kind of fast.
He's not alone. Every hiker we spoke with said the change of scenery.
You start to lose your mind just being inside. You want to get out into nature's not on quarantine.
It's very helpful for your mind and to stay positive with all the chaos that's going around.
Is worth the extra effort to mitigate potential risk.
It was much more empty than it usually is. But when it gets kind of congested, kind of make sure I'm away from people.
That emptiness at Echo Canyon is due to regulations from the city of Phoenix. One measure they're taking is they're limiting parking to limit foot traffic, and they're also asking drivers to park every other spot.
I haven't never seen anything like this.
Barnes says Echo Canyon closes parking, turning hikers away when the lot is half full.
Saturday and Sunday are usually packed, and I guess the word got out because it's been not as busy as it normally would be.
At Piestoa Peak, rangers control incoming traffic at the park to 10 cars at a time, about every 15 minutes. Hopeful hiker Philip Burton just missed that cutoff.
Hours of delays are fine. You know, we enjoy a really good life here in the United States, and this is the least we can do to pay that back.
Park Ranger Barnes says this kind of regulation will continue as needed with no end date in sight yet. Reporting for ABC 15 Arizona, I'm Chloe Marr.
All good to have a look out there. We appreciate that, Chloe. Making homemade masks to help protect our medical community. Coming up, we wonder if these helpful alternatives actually protect the medical staff who use them. So we're going to get you some answers.
And the donations keep rolling in for those who need it the most in our Valley communities.
Also, a live look outside this morning, looking at the I-10 eastbound at the mini stack. Yeah, not a lot of traffic, but the skies sure look good. Piestoa Peak in the background there. I've got the rest of that full forecast for you coming your way in just 2 minutes. Spend your morning with us, Arizona.
6:12, everybody, on your Sunday morning. Crafty volunteers from all over the country, they're stepping up to make homemade masks for doctors' offices and hospitals that are now facing a huge shortage. But can these masks actually protect our healthcare workers? ABC 15 Sonu Wasu takes a look.
So you put it on like that, and you bend the nose clip to tighten to your face. And just like that, and it's very breathable.
Allison Anderstone is part of America's new sewing army, using all of her spare time now to stitch up these homemade masks for doctors and nurses in her community.
The only thing I know is that there are doctors in my community who want these.
Allison says she knows the cloth masks may not be ideal, but at a time when there's such a shortage and healthcare workers are literally begging for these, she's been told they'll take anything.
And just to point out, this is a in case of emergency type supply.
Here at Fabric Tempe, a fashion incubator that helps upcoming designers, founder Angela Johnson tells us they too saw the need.
I thought, wow, maybe we can make masks. And then we started looking more into all the FDA and CDC regulations that go into making PPE items and realized, no, we can't make masks.
Medical grade masks like these are made of specialized fabrics that are actually melted, then welded together. Fabric that's in very short supply, so the company has now switched to making medical grade isolation gowns, while others like Allison are going to continue stitching, doing the best they can to follow the guidelines, putting filters in cloth masks.
I am using the 3M Filtrette 2500 Smart Air Filter because it is supposed to do a better job of filtering out viruses.
We checked to see if local hospitals would accept these masks. Both Banner and Dignity Health tell us they welcome the donations, but they do want you to call ahead and coordinate your efforts with them. The Banner Health team also making their own masks in-house using sterilization cloth. Sonu Wasu, ABC 15, Arizona.
The city of Phoenix also collecting those masks. They've received thousands of personal protection items this past week during the coronavirus drive, that is. In addition to masks, household items like paper towels and hand sanitizer, they were donated to the Circle the City campaign, a nonprofit that offers medical treatment to those who are homeless.
We need these supplies in order to protect our staff and provide that care for our patients. So literally, this donation is life-saving for us on every level.
Most of the donations will be given to first responders and other healthcare professionals across the valley.
Another great way that we're seeing people help around the valley, so we appreciate that. You know, another way that you can help make a difference around the community is if you are able to order your food from a local restaurant and then bring it home or set up a picnic for yourself someplace where there's nobody else and just take your family and get outside, enjoy the weather.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can also help by just keeping that distance, even if you do go outside. Can't stress that enough.
Exactly. So it's okay to find a park. Just make sure there's nobody else near you at the park, okay? And the weather's going to be really nice for it. This morning, we've got just a few clouds out there, so it's actually making for a pretty sunrise. We're about 4 minutes away from that official sunrise time. Live look at the Papagos this morning. That's been one of those crowded spots, so maybe pick another place, another view of the McDowell Mountains this morning as that sun gets closer to rising. And our temperatures have dipped a little bit because we are closer to that sunrise time, the coolest time of of the day. So we're in the upper 40s in places like Glendale and Goodyear this morning, but Mesa and Phoenix still settling into the low 50s. Now you will notice that the air quality is going to be a little better today. So that's a nice break for anybody who has asthma, COPD, any kind of breathing problems. It's still not going to be that bad tomorrow and for the beginning of the week, but it will be back in that moderate range. So just be mindful of that. Today's forecast across the state, central and southern Arizona are the warmer spots. We're seeing highs in the upper 70s. Casa Grande warming to 77 today. Same temperature in Tucson, 78 in Gila Bend. Along our western border, Lake Havasu City is going to warm to 76 degrees. So a really nice day out there for all of you. Further inland in the Verde Valley area, we're going to see highs in the upper 50s and low 60s in places like Prescott and Sedona. Payson staying in the upper 50s and same temperatures, very similar temperatures in Show Low, topping out at 58 degrees, same temperature in Window Rock. Flagstaff is going to stay in the 40s once again. Today you'll stay cooler. Over in the East Valley, we've got highs of 77 in Tempe and Ahwatukee, as well as Chandler and Gilbert. A little bit cooler in Santan Valley, topping out at 75 today. Same temperature in Fountain Hills. Carefree, one of the only spots that might not crack the 70-degree mark. Over in the West Valley, 76 in Surprise today. Same temperature in Peoria. It'll be 77 in Levine and the Deer Valley neighborhoods, staying right in that mid-70s range. Now here's how we get there. By 9 o'clock this morning, we're in the 60s, 64 by 10, and by lunchtime, noon, we're in the low 70s already and continuing to climb. We'll reach that peak high today right between 3 and 5 o'clock, and we're going to stay warm through the early evening hours. Look at this, 8 o'clock tonight, we're still at 70 degrees. Also, you'll notice a few breezes today, especially across the high country, where winds will be about 10 to 15 miles an hour in places like Flagstaff and Kingman, as well as Show Low. They start to pick up between noon and 4 o'clock. Right around 4 o'clock is when our breezes kick up here in the valley, but still pretty light, right around 10 miles an hour. And then they start to die down overnight, although Yuma is going to still see some breezy conditions overnight, right around 15 to 20 miles an hour. Tomorrow, calm winds statewide, but along our eastern border, they pick up once again in areas like Show Low and Safford, right around 15 miles an hour. Today, we could see a passing stray shower after 11 o'clock in the high country, areas like Flagstaff, Page, and the Four Corners area. That starts to move out overnight. We stay dry here in the valley, and everyone has clear skies on Monday. Then on Tuesday, a few more clouds move in, but we stay dry statewide, and our temperatures continue to climb each day. Tomorrow, a high of 78. By Tuesday, the 80s make their return, and that's going to start making our overnight lows a little bit more mild too. Lows just in the upper 50s and low 60s even. By Wednesday, upper 80s, and then we're just going to kind of bobble back and forth between the mid and upper 80s as we head to next weekend. We'll see if we happen to get any closer to that 90-degree mark.
One Valley teen is not letting the coronavirus get in the way of an important milestone. Denise has been preparing for her bat mitzvah for about a year, but her friends and family, they couldn't attend in person, so they decided to stream it online. Denise says that she wishes the party could have gone on, but she has learned a lot.
In the end, I decided to take this experience as a time where I could still have my bat mitzvah. It wasn't something that I had to immediately stop. It was something that I could still persevere.
The teen adds that anyone else having to go through this very same thing right now with their birthdays or other big events, they should know that their family and friends, they still support them even if they can't be there in person. The time now is 6:19. Surviving social distancing, it's going to take a different toll on all of us. A doctor from the Mayo Clinic, he's going to help us understand why we're feeling the way we are. And this is some heart-stopping video showing a twister that's coming within feet of businesses down south. We'll show you more after the break.
So during this time of social distancing and self-isolation, it can take a real toll on all of us mentally and emotionally. So today, Dr. Lisa Gudenkauf is a health psychologist with Mayo Clinic who's joining us to help navigate some of this while we're at home. So good morning, Dr. Gudenkauf. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with some of the associated risks that we should be watching out for during this time of isolation.
You're absolutely right. This is a very stressful time, a lot of stress around uncertainty of what will happen, disruption of people's daily routine, and unanticipated stressors that can feel kind of out of our control at this time. So really we're asking people to kind of think about self-monitoring for signs and symptoms of stress. It's helpful to know what your own signs and symptoms are. Sometimes it's helpful to ask a loved one. They can often tell us when they know we're stressed. So things we could be looking out for would be things like fear and worry about your own health. If you start to notice changes in your sleep or your eating patterns, difficulty sleeping or concentrating, worsening of chronic health problems that we already have, and then if we're noticing increased alcohol, tobacco, or drug use.
So if you do start to spot them, are there things that you can do to start to ease some of the stress of the situation that you might be in? We know money, of course, is weighing on a lot of minds and jobs. So what can we do?
If we can recall times when we've coped with things in the past, it can help increase our confidence that we're able to cope with current situations as well. But there are kind of a number of things that we would suggest on average each person could try to do. Maintain a daily schedule with healthy habits. Even if you're at home, wake up, shower, get dressed. Make sure you're engaging in healthy physical activity as much as you're able. Eat healthy foods and go to sleep at the normal time. Keep just a normal routine as much as you're able. We know that a healthy routine actually helps boost your mood and your energy level and maintain a sense of normalcy for ourselves. Other things we could consider is staying connected with people. Of course, we're socially isolated in a physical way, but there are a lot of ways to connect virtually, and this is a really great time to harness technology to our benefit.
I like that you said get dressed every day, because a lot of people have kind of been living in their yoga pants, so that's really easy to do. Also, let's talk just lastly about one big change for families is that the kids are now all home. So you're trying to navigate homeschooling, so they're on top of you. Plus, you're probably working at home, just like your partner if you're married or have a live-in significant other. So how can you try to avoid conflict during this time of being extra exposed to them?
Certainly sit down, set times aside to communicate. Communication is really key. Talk about how we're feeling and problem solve together. It's an opportunity to really come together as a team and as a family unit to face the challenge together.
And at what point then, I guess, do you realize if you are overstressed that you need help, and how can you reach out for help during this time when we're seeing a lot of places that are closed?
Yeah, I think monitoring for your stress level being so high for many days in a row that you're just not able to function in the same way that you need to. There are several resources online and apps that are available for support for people. There are actually really good resources for connecting people to those things. If you go to the typical resources, the CDC has some great resources. Mayo Clinic also has put out some online resources. And the American Psychological Association is a really great resource for getting people connected with help at this time.
All wonderful tips. Dr. Gudenkauf, thank you so much for helping keep our mental, our emotional health intact as we all navigate this together. We do appreciate you.